It's another episode of the RSL Random Fan Podcast. It's a special episode. We talk with Simon Causton from the Real Football USA. He is a Brit who has moved to Nashville and become a U.S. citizen. We talked to him about his journey, and what else we talk about, Tyler?
How he embraces the word soccer. Let's go, soccer.
It's a fascinating story. It's a fascinating conversation, and he helps us try and find the Crawley Bar in Nashville. See if he's successful. All right, it's another episode of the RSL Random Fan Podcast. I'm your host, Brant Goebel, joined by Tyler from
Tyler,
Arizona. You right?
way out in Arizona, 114 degrees, getting out of the
And
car.
Simon, how many say Costin? Is that how you say your last name?
Spot on. Absolutely spot on. Thank you.
Simon Costin, and you are currently living somewhere in Tennessee.
Yep, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, originally from just south of London in Maidstone, Kent, even though I was born in Essex, and lived most of my life in London, moved over to the US in 2019. And yeah, ended up in Nashville, Tennessee, which I still can't quite believe, to be perfectly honest. It seems like a bit of a random location, but yeah, thank you very much for having me on the podcast. Really excited to join.
Yeah, we are very excited to have you on. At least I am because I am the resident Anglophile. I'm the one that want to kind of do what you do, only opposite. Maybe end up
Yeah.
seek asylum in the English in England and watch soccer all day. That's kind of my dream. But so, what brought you? We'll just jump right in. What brought you to the States, and then we'll jump back and I got some more questions about your soccer upbringing.
Well, I've always loved the US. I spent some time here when I was a little bit younger and managed to get the opportunity to come in 2019 and originally moved to the East Coast. And then for family purposes moved down to Nashville, Tennessee, and that's where I am now. And honestly, absolutely love it. Well, I'm gonna call it soccer just for the
Thank you.
purpose of this
Thank you.
podcast, just for the diplomatic efforts more than anything else. Um,
Love it.
this city is soccer crazy, and I mean it's a great quality of life down here anyway. But the people are fantastic down here, and yeah, I ended up staying here, and this is where I'm going to be now. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird journey down here, but love the fact that I'm here now, and yeah, really. I became a US citizen a couple of years ago as well, so I'm
Nice.
actually now, almost a real American as well. So it's been my dream from day one, really.
Oh, that's fascinating, fascinating. And then also you are. I'll start this. I like to ask people, "Are you a soccer fan?" And just to go back to that point, you guys are the one that came up with the name soccer,
Yeah, I
not
know. I know
us.
the history on that
Yeah.
actually. Yeah,
Is it Oxford?
I think so. Yeah, and then because it was an abbreviation of Association Football, wasn't it? And
Yep.
Uh-huh.
yeah, and then they decided to turn it back because English exceptionalism always rules the roost. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and Phineas and Ferb taught us that, right? If you watch enough Phineas and Ferb, you'll find out that the association is where they got, and they have a whole episode on it.
yeah, exactly.
So then, are you a soccer fan?
Yes, that would be a slight understatement, but
Excellent.
yes, yeah.
And how did your fandom evolve? Well, we can share that you have a podcast of your own podcast. You happen to be a Chelsea supporter, which we haven't really given any of those fans any stick here on this podcast. We
Well, I mean,
generally,
we do kind of have that running joke about how they sign everyone and play no one, and there's kind of
Yeah.
that. But
I mean,
everybody says that. We don't want to pile on there, Simon.
you know what? There's a lot of ammunition. There's a lot of ammunition, and it's pretty much all justified. So, yeah, I do a Chelsea podcast. It's called Chelsea Against the World. I actually started it when I moved to Nashville, so I'm a big member of the Nashville Chelsea group here. So that's actually one of the things that enamored me about America is that basically every big city has a chapter for different teams all across, like especially Nashville has as a bar for basically every Premier League team. And the first thing I did when I moved to Nashville was look for the Chelsea bar here, and the Chelsea Nashville group is massive. Like I think there's about 500 members across,
Wow.
and my first game at the bar in Nashville, I met a chap called Manny who's from Tennessee. Um, and we got chatting, got along really well. Very, 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 very funny guy. We got along like a house on fire. And then a few months after knowing each other, becoming friends, we were like, should we do a podcast? I think this would work quite well. So we started doing a podcast when Chelsea started being really awful,
Oh,
which
dang it.
is for the first 50 or so episodes was a real challenge not to be those clickbaiting, annoying Chelsea social media people. But we've been doing it, yeah, since 2023 now. I think we're around 180 episodes in now. Done some really fun stuff. Big Chelsea supporter all my life. Didn't really get much choice in the matter, as most English people do when they choose their soccer team. But yeah, so Chelsea has been my life pretty much since I was a very small boy. And yeah, well, I've been out here. We've done some cool, really exciting stuff with the podcast. Interviewed the first ever black Chelsea player. We interviewed him in New Orleans a few months ago, and we're
Oh,
growing. We're constantly growing, getting lots
who
more
was
listeners.
it?
A gentleman called Paul Canaville. So he was Chelsea's first ever black footballer in the 1980s. Retired very early, but he wrote a book that was one of the sports books of the year about 20 years ago, and he's a very iconic figure at Chelsea. And runs a foundation, and we work with them as their kind of US partners over here as well. And yeah, so the podcast has been awesome because I'm a big Chelsea fan, and I've got to meet Chelsea fans from all over the world and all over America, and it's sort of cemented my love for the club as well. But doing the podcast, you meet so many different people, and it's opened so many avenues, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Now, you mentioned every team has a bar in Nashville. So, which one is the Crawley Town bar?
I haven't found it yet, mate. To be
Okay.
honest, I keep ever
Still
since I
looking.
found out
Still
you were a
looking.
Crawley fan. I've been on a mission to try and find if there's any Crawley supporters in Nashville. I haven't
Yeah.
found them yet, but I'll get back to you if I find
Yeah.
one.
Just keep
Well,
creeping around the city, keep doing
Yeah.
laps, and if you don't find one, just keep looking because I'm
Uh,
sure it's there, right?
It is going to be my life's mission to find one in Nashville. I
oh,
assure
Another
you.
fan is all you
Yeah,
need.
well,
One more
exactly.
fan.
I have been trying to get. I want them to designate me the unofficial, the official, whatever it takes to be the Crawley Town fan for the United States. I think and in Utah, I am the president, vice president, and all of the supporters of the club.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all progenitors from Brant, right? His kids, his grandkids. Those are all that's the whole fan club.
Listen,
Yeah,
in charge. That's where you're at now. Got a lot of
absolutely.
responsibility on your shoulders.
Oh yeah, I don't think I don't feel it.
Yeah.
I take it. I take my role for Crawley Town very, very serious. So,
So
so I'm.
Simon, um, did you start when Christian Pulisic was there, or you did your podcast predate him?
It started afterwards.
Okay.
So the year that we started was 2023, I believe. Yeah, it was 2023. So Chelsea had won the Champions League in 2021 with Christian Pulisic obviously playing in the final. It's actually quite funny. I got a Christian Pulisic Chelsea jersey the day I first got my green card in the US. So it's like a big celebratory moment. I didn't do anything for my citizenship because we did a live show soon after that. But so I started the podcast. It was the year Todd Bowley and the American Consortium had bought Chelsea, and
Yes.
it was about as bad a season as Chelsea's ever had in my lifetime. And after 20 years of basically continued success, it was a real crash back down to earth moment. And the fact that we had to talk about it in depth for that
Super
long,
painful, right?
yeah, it was really
So
difficult,
painful.
really difficult. But it's interesting. It's amazing what Pulisic has done for soccer over here. Actually, and in terms of I don't think you could probably quantify how many American Chelsea fans are Chelsea fans because of him. There must be thousands and thousands who saw him playing and they were like, especially playing in the Champions League final. I think he was the first American player to ever win the Champions League, I believe. Must have done huge amounts for not just Chelsea in the Premier League, but for soccer in general. And I'm wondering if you'd kind of seen in that accumulation of that excitement that he probably started really on the biggest scale right now in the World Cup, which is great to see.
You probably have that. You have a lot of Everton fans because of Tim Howard, Landon
Hmm.
Donovan. You got a lot of Fulham fans because of Clint Dempsey, and that's about where it ends for me, kind of guessing where they came from. But what
Yeah,
other Americans
Brad
that have?
Guzan was there for a few years too,
Oh
right?
yeah, Guzan. Yeah.
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 I went to a Chelsea game where Chelsea scored eight past him in one game,
Ooh.
and he made about 15 saves, so it could have been a lot worse. So it wasn't really his fault. It wasn't really his fault, but I remember that Chelsea won 8-0, and Guzan was just looking like he was having a terrible time. Terrible time.
Yep, yep. And that's kind of how he ended his career. Yep,
Yeah.
just giving up goals left and right. Love the
Yeah.
guy. He's got a great haircut, just like this. But other than that, yeah, you go out on top like Michael Bradley did, right?
Yeah.
And you talked about Chelsea, but why not Maidstone? I love, like I said, I'm a lower league guy. I love the romance of it, and some of it's
Yeah.
exciting, some of it's not. But you were born kind of in Maidstone, no Maidstone, or are you a Maidstone fan, or just
I like Maystone. I've got a couple of their jerseys in my extensive soccer jersey collection. There's a thing with English soccer culture that I don't know how much it translates over here very much. You don't really get a choice in the matter. Um, my dad is possibly even the bigger Chelsea supporter than I am, and me and my two brothers on the middle just didn't have any option. He was like, "Right, it's Chelsea." Even though we're living in Maidstone, it's Chelsea, and that's quite a thing for a lot of maybe to Americans to understand about not just English, but like probably all European soccer culture and maybe in South America and Central America as well. Is that because the culture's so bred and deep in people's blood, essentially, you either become a supporter of the town that you live in or your dad's team. That's essentially how it works. And my dad was like, right, you're all coming to Chelsea with me. And I remember like being very, very little and being like, there was a couple of other players for other teams that I found very interesting. And he was like, oh, that's good. You can like those players, but you're going to support Chelsea. So I mean, I've been to my first ever soccer match was a Maidstone United game. Actually, it was Maidstone United versus Halifax Town, which is a very niche fixture. This is when Maidstone was in the old Division Four, so it would be League Two now. So they were not in the non-league yet. Mason actually they went out of business and reformed. It was like a fan group that opened them again in the early 2000s, which is a pretty amazing story actually. And they got a new ground, which was in the centre of Mason. I went back to the UK last year and went to the ground for the first time to watch them play. I think it was a team called St Albans, which is these are very small teams, very, very small teams. Probably, I'm guessing your listeners have probably never heard of most of them, which is I could have just made them up and
Right.
probably got
We
away
wouldn't
with
have
it, really.
known.
So,
Your cool
um,
English accent, we would have just been like, wow, that sounds amazing, right?
yeah, exactly. But no, it's great. Honestly, it's lower league football is where the lifeblood of English culture is, in my view. And I mean, Brant, you've fallen in love with Crawley, and it's like similar for a lot of people. But yeah, Chelsea has just. I didn't get any choice in the matter. Like we live about an hour away from Stamford Bridge, and me and my family have had season tickets since the 1997 season. And my dad and my younger brother still go to the games, still got season tickets, and it's just yeah, it's like part of a family heritage, really, more than a choice, which is yeah, maybe a little bit different when I think it's kind of analogous to the NFL, how that is in the UK right now. A lot of people are just picking teams because they like the jerseys or they like the style of the team. But like probably I don't know what your guys are in background in like choosing American sports teams, but you probably if you're based in Utah, I imagine you like the Jazz, right? If you're in the NBA and college teams as well, where you go, that's where your kind of allegiance grows with soccer in England. That's kind of how it is as well. You don't really choose; it just chooses you.
So since you get to choose, who's been your favorite Chelsea player, bar none? Who's the very top Chelsea player?
Oh, it's undoubtedly Didier Drogba.
Yeah,
Undoubtedly Didier
really?
Drogba. Yeah.
Why? Why is that?
Oh, he's the king. He's the king. Oh, he's the greatest ever player that's played for Chelsea. Scored in basically, I think he scored in every single cup final that Chelsea played in. It was his penalty that won Chelsea the Champions League for the first time. He was the kind of figurehead. I mean, it is close to Frank Lampard as well, because Frank
Okay.
Lampard is our record ever goal scorer and just an amazing player. But for me, I always loved Didier Drogba. He rose to the big occasion and he was a warrior. And that, I think, was one of the reasons why people fell in love with Chelsea when they did. Um, and yeah, he's just given me the best memories I've ever had as a Chelsea fan. Always is Drogba.
That's great.
Our
That's
Real
great. I
Salt
love
Lake's
that.
young phenom, Xavier Gozo, his middle name is Didier because his dad is a massive Didier Drogba fan.
Yeah.
I don't think you can quite underestimate the influence that he has had on influencing people to follow soccer and support Chelsea. The support in the continent of Africa of Chelsea in particular is absolutely massive, and it's not just down to him. There was a couple of other players. Michael Essien from Ghana as well was
Yeah.
a big influence on
Yeah.
growing the
Came from
African
this too.
support as
Yeah.
well. But Drogba, I mean, he's just an incredible person as well. Took a leading role in stopping a civil war in the Ivory Coast while he was still playing as well. He's just a leader, and just that to me is what the essence of soccer is. You need, and the people I find easy to root for are like that, and this is why I find it very difficult to like many of the Chelsea players who are playing for us at the moment, because they are the opposite of that. So yeah, it's I think I've been a little bit spoiled in my life watching that kind of player, to be honest.
That's
Interesting.
fascinating. And going back to your, choosing your team question, I, I'm fascinated because we have so many leagues and teams to choose from. I mean,
Hmm.
in some of the other countries, it's just essentially soccer. I guess team handball is big too
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah,
There's some other sports that I find fascinating, but there isn't
I know some
anything.
people pick a favorite beach volleyball team, but I
Yeah.
think that's a different deal.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But in the United States, we've got four major sports with soccer creeping in be the fifth, and hockey, baseball, basketball, football. And so generally people, if they're hometown, they pick that team, but there's just so many people have just well, it's just wide open unless,
Hmm.
you're in that town. So it is kind of fascinating. I don't think people appreciate over here how it is just woven into the fabric of the culture
Hmm.
football is in other countries, especially when you're in
Yeah.
England.
It's crazy, actually. I try and seek out new experiences where I can as well. I didn't mention before we started recording that I was in the UK a couple of weeks ago, actually, for a friend's wedding up in Scotland. And I'd never been to a Scottish game before. And the day that I flew into London, I got a flight up to Glasgow that day. And I was like, I wonder if there's any soccer on. And there was a playoff going on in Glasgow between two Glaswegian teams for the Scottish Premier League, where Celtic and Rangers play. They're the two big famous teams, but they had a playoff for relegation. So it was the second from bottom team from the Premier League, a team called St Mirren, facing off against Partick Thistle, who were at home, who were also based in Glasgow, but they were second in the Championship. And I was like, I
Again, you could have
really,
just made those names up,
I know,
right?
I know, and believe me, I had to look those up for the Scottish League. I'm not so up to speed on the Scottish stuff, but I was like, I'm going to
Wait,
try
say
and
the
get.
names again.
So
Harding
it's
Thistle?
Partick Thistle
Okay.
and St Mirren, Saint
Okay.
Mirren, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm going to try and go to this game because this is a big game. This is like the loser, the winner stays in or gets promoted to the Premier League, and the loser stays in the Championship. I was like, this is amazing, and I was like, this clearly not going to have any tickets left. Clearly not going to have any tickets left. I managed to get a ticket, and it was about $20, I think, and I have never seen a soccer ground like it. I've never seen a soccer ground like it. It was, I think, a capacity of probably around 7 to 10,000. But one side of the one behind the goal, there was just nothing. There was just a field and sponsorship. And I was like, walked into the stadium, and I'd had a couple of beers, and I was thinking to myself, what on earth is this? What on earth is this? And it was one of the most enjoyable experiences I've ever had. The fans were, I mean, you've seen the Scottish fans here in the US for the World Cup already. They are running the show over here. But the atmosphere was incredible. The fans were so fanatical about what was happening, and I was just as someone who is British, but I haven't spent that much time up in Scotland outside of work. That it was a completely new experience for me, and I was just like, there is something different about a team, like a group of fans who support teams like this compared to like the Premier League teams, which I feel a little bit spoiled about. But it's nice to, and I think you're seeing that in the World Cup as well about the smaller, maybe some of the smaller nations who haven't competed in World Cups as much as maybe England or Argentina. Their fans just bring something new to the table, and I feel that to really get an understanding of soccer around the world, to experience those things is really invaluable.
Oh yeah, I was thinking I've had the experience. I'm not necessarily a world traveler. I mean, I've been all the way around the world to England a couple of times. That's about it. But I have been to away games for Crawley. Went to
Oh
Forest
wow.
Green, and I've been to Bradford
Oh,
and been to MK Dons, and yeah, I think that's the three away games we've been to.
wow. That's those are some interesting grounds you went to. Did you know the thing about MK Dons being the first franchise team in English football?
Yes, from
Yeah, really.
Wimbledon.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I so my dad used to work for a company that sponsored Wimbledon, and this is when Wimbledon were in the Premier League in like the mid '90s. So we used to get free tickets to those games all the time, and their fans were so angry about that. That with the relocation and the rebranding, it was just so they set up their own team, which is pretty amazing.
yeah, and Crawley, in when they got promoted to League One a couple seasons ago, I think they set the record for obliterating MK Dons. It was like 6-1 in the or
That's
eight
very good news.
in their playoff, and then they won the game in Wembley. Then they proceeded to get immediately relegated back down after selling 10 of their 11 starters in the offseason.
Wow.
So yeah, but Forest Green is a tiny little spot. But anyway, so
Well,
go ahead,
Simon, kind
Tyler.
of switching over to the States since, that's where we are and that's where you are.
hmm
Tell us a little bit about your experience as a Brit being in the States watching soccer.
Well, I am a big Nashville SC fan as well. So I first moved to Nashville 2022, and they hadn't opened the new stadium, Geodis Park, yet. And I hadn't been, so obviously with the pandemic and moving around countries and stuff like that, I hadn't been to a soccer game in a very long time. And I was like, oh, I forgot they had an MLS team here. Oh, they're opening a new stadium. I'm just going to go. I'm just going to go. I'm like, I'm going to get a ticket and go, pay whatever I need to go. And I just had an amazing, amazing time. Um, the experience I have of watching soccer here really is based upon that, and with my Chelsea friends here and watching the Premier League here, and also the World Cup now as well. I had a really good experience watching the Euros and the World Cup here too. Um, the the culture in Nashville is so driven to soccer, and the
Cool.
way that Nashville SC was constructed as a club is quite similar to how clubs were formed in England. Very much fan orientated. It like stemmed from fan growth as well, and I yeah, I love it. I got a season ticket immediately after the first game. Just the atmosphere was incredible. It's a little bit different in terms of actually probably being a little more welcoming, which I think is always a really good thing, to be honest. Especially if you're trying to grow the game, the culture's a little bit different from watching it in England or in Europe, where there's a bit more vitriol in the stands. Here, it just seems like everyone is here to enjoy themselves, which I think is the best way to grow the game. To be honest, I think the atmosphere in Europe and the UK and England is one of the reasons why people love going to those games, but sometimes it does spill over. Here, I haven't seen that, and actually, it feels like everyone is trying to include and grow the game as much as possible, and not only just through Nashville, but also the Premier League coverage over here as well. We had the NBC Fan Fest came to Nashville a couple of years ago, and we were quite involved with that with
Nice.
Chelsea and the podcast as well during that weekend. And to see thousands of people travel from all over the US to watch Premier League games outside on Broadway in Nashville in the morning, I was like, something is happening here. Something is happening here. But like, I just found it fascinating seeing so many different teams being represented by everybody here, and it's a very enjoyable experience. I feel there's, as I said, I feel it's a lot more welcoming, and I think with this World Cup as well, I feel that watching these games over here, I feel the genuine excitement for the first time, really on a national scale, which I think is a big turning point for US soccer. I think, and watching growing the game and watching it here, it feels like, especially the US team doing really well, got some great players in their team. I feel that you're going to get a lot of new people involved in the sport and hopefully can change some of the grassroots level changes that need to be made to make it an established, like top level sport in America consistently. But I love it. I love it. I love watching it here. It's great fun.
And how would you rate the comparison between Major League Soccer? I'm not going to even suggest that they are on the Premier League level or anything like that, but I think that Major League Soccer and Soccer United States gets a raw deal when it comes to how really how good the league really is. And I don't believe in a lot of foreigners. I mean, they're finding it out now. Foreign soccer fans, different countries understand some of the challenges that there is to playing in Major League Soccer. They don't understand the size of the United States.
Oh yeah, the
The
Hmm.
travel
the
schedule.
longest
Right.
away day in England is our closest opponent for Real Salt Lake. Our closest drive is
Wow.
8 hours to Denver.
That's crazy. Um, I think people underestimate it massively. I think the quality has improved immeasurably since I've started going to watch the games in particular. And I don't know what you can attribute that to. I think that potentially the players that the clubs are signing from other countries in particular are coming at a less um, like the age, the more peak age in their careers, essentially. And I think there's more a focus on building younger, better teams rather than just signing has-beens from Europe, which I think has been the kind of stereotype of the league previously. Um, I think the quality has grown massively. It's like speaking from a Nashville fan, where we're top of the East at the moment. Some of the football this team plays is absolutely amazing. It's genuinely very, very good to watch. And Chelsea have had a terrible year, and they're like Chelsea are always my number one, Nashville my number two. But I've much more enjoyed watching Nashville within the last year than Chelsea. Genuinely, I have, and I think that it's just without watching it consistently, people are not going to change their opinions about it. And I think the American players who are playing in the MLS, who are now playing for the US men's national team in particular, but also some of the other nations around in the World Cup as well, are showing a really good. They're giving a really good impression of the MLS and in terms of the improvement. And I think that there's different challenges that MLS players have to play, especially players coming from Europe. Especially from England. Our best striker Sam Surridge is from Nottingham in England. He has not played in heat like this that we have in Tennessee. He does not play in that kind of stuff back in England, and that offers different challenges in the conditions and the travel, and obviously the lifestyle being quite different as well. But I think people really in Europe are probably underestimating a little bit how the quality of the MLS at the moment. I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the way Nashville play. I liked them as soon as they got rid of that one coach that won
Gary
MLS Cup
Smith.
with yeah, Gary.
Yeah,
Yeah. Gary
yeah,
Smith's so defensive oriented. He's
Negative.
so focused on the defensive side that he almost made it boring for a while at Nashville. And
yeah.
so
It
I'm
was.
glad they kind of jazzed it up a little bit and got
And
things going. So
yeah,
no, I think that's great.
we've been big Honey Mukhtar fans too.
Oh, great
Yeah.
player.
So I
What
Technically
want
very
a
good.
yeah, and Real Salt Lake's had a nice season. I know you're probably tracking the West too, but we're in third place, which is surprising to everyone, pretty
Hmm.
much. But it's been nice to watch the teams play so well. What are your thoughts on the Cup? Is it going to be the year? Is it going home? Is that what they're saying?
I don't know. I don't know. I try not to get too excited every time it happens, to be honest. But I think there's so many good teams that there's going to be a huge amount of luck involved in it, whoever wins it. But I will say this: England have got the best coach in the tournament in Thomas Tuchel. And that's not just biased from a Chelsea perspective.
Yeah,
He,
sure it's not. Uh-huh.
yeah.
Okay, Simon. Okay.
Listen, if you can win a Champions League with a front three of Timo Werner, Mason Mount, and Kai Havertz, you can do anything. You can do
Especially
anything.
Mason Mount, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
wow.
What? No, Timo Werner. Timo Werner. I've
Oh, be
never seen
careful. He's
any.
tearing it up
I
in
mean,
San
he didn't for
Jose.
Chelsea. He didn't for Chelsea. I've never seen
No.
anyone with two left feet before, but that's him. Um,
That was all
he,
psychological.
yeah, yeah, I know. I
Psychological
just,
left feet.
yeah. um, I think Tuchel is a difference maker for England. I think that it's quite interesting that the international tournaments for me have always been like a uniting factor with me and my friends who all support different teams. But we actually all fell out of love with watching England during the time that everyone said that we had our golden generation. Like players like Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, Rooney, those players, it was just shambolic every time we went to a tournament. And Gareth Southgate, this I think people overseas might not understand it, but the way he brought everyone back in love with the England team again is something that is massive. But he's just not a very good coach. He's a great man manager, not a very good tactician. What England have now got, in my mind, is the best cup manager in the world. Thomas Tuchel could set any team up tactically to win a game on a one-off game, and I think that is the kind of manager you need in a tournament like this. Um, so you know what, I was a little bit skeptical about England's chances before the World Cup because due to leaving some of the players that we've left out. So no Phil Foden, no Cole Palmer. Those players previously would have been relied on, but the
Yeah,
way
Foden
that
kind of fell off though
so did
to
Palmer. You know
me.
what? So did
And
Palmer as
Palmer
well.
kind of did, but he's young enough that like you bring him in and you play him with these guys and then he rises. You know what I mean? At least I
Yeah,
thought Cole Palmer got the most shaft there, but
maybe. But you know
I
what?
don't
I
know.
didn't understand it when it happened, but I understand it now. Watching England Croatia made me believe because Croatia are a very good team. Listen, whether people think that they're aging or whatever, they're still top 11, 12 team in the world.
Yeah,
And we could have won that game 8 or 9-2 in the second half.
they
And
dominated.
and
Really,
how I
really
think it's
strong.
different
Yeah.
now is because we've got the firepower, but we've also got a manager who's going to go for it and try and win rather than be scared of losing. And I think if you've got that in a coach and you've got someone like Harry Kane, who is arguably the best player in the world at the moment, and that's difficult for me to say for him being ex Tottenham, and I'm a big Chelsea supporter. But he is if he was playing for any other if he was any other nationality outside of English and was playing for anyone else besides Bayern Munich, he'd be in the conversation for the Ballon d'Or. Genuinely think that, and
Well, I think he
who
should be
knows?
too, but you know, I'm not even an Anglophile like Brant over here.
Yeah,
Anglophile, sorry, but you know, I'm not. That's not my. But Harry Kane, just he's so good. Like
he's so good.
man, like people don't appreciate him like they should, especially Tottenham fans when they were like, "We should get rid of Kane. He's lost a step." He's not speedy, but man, he kicks the ball in the net.
Yeah,
What else
and
do you
look what.
need from a striker? Quit complaining, you crazies.
Yeah,
I,
also look what's happened after he left as well. They've been in
Yeah,
relegation fights for 2 years in a row.
exactly.
So to answer your question, I'm gonna be. So it's quite funny that the song "It's Coming Home" that everyone sings is actually British humour. For the translation of the song is, "We know that we're going to lose, but we're going to believe we're going to win." Essentially, that's what the translation is. And but for the first time, I'm actually quietly confident that we can win it. But there's some teams that scare me, and there's some players that scare me in particular. Um, so I don't know, man. It's there's so many good teams in this tournament. I think it's very hard to predict.
And what are your thoughts so far on the World Cup? I was kind of skeptical with all of the outside of it, all the stuff that was going on. None of it was, exciting and positive. Not that it is needs to be, but what have your thoughts so far as we're almost to the end of the second game for every club or every
Oh,
country?
I've loved it. I've loved it. You know what? There's always noise coming into World Cups about the hosts, which country, what's going on in that country. But once the football start, or so once the soccer starts, you just kind of forget it. You kind of forget it. I'm disappointed that I can't get to a game. I would have fulfilled a life ambition to go to a England game in a World Cup here, but unfortunately, like many people, I kind of got priced out, and my schedule kind of got conflicted with work commitments as well. So it's not meant to be. But once it starts, I'm obsessed. I'm all in. Like I'm the biggest Chelsea supporter you ever see. But when I don't give a crap when about Chelsea when England are playing in a tournament, to be honest. It takes a massive back step for me. But honestly, the games have been incredible. The games have been incredible, and I've been a big fan of the expanded tournament as well. Because if we didn't have an expanded tournament, we wouldn't have a story like Cape Verde so far. So
That was the
Where's
most
that?
exciting game for me of the tournament so far. The
Yeah,
Uruguay Copa Verde
yeah,
game yesterday.
been cool.
It was just amazing.
it's so special. It's so special, and like I always get asked this question: what do I think's better, the Euros or the World Cup? And I think it's a little bit apples and oranges to me because I think you get probably more better quality teams in the Euros from the start, like on paper, but you don't get teams from all across the world coming in and with like most people didn't understand what Cape Verde were going to bring to this tournament. The fact that they drew 0-0 with Spain is absolutely remarkable, remarkable, and I think that yeah, it's just been an incredible tournament. There are two things that I would like to change, just as a heads up. First of all, the hydration break mandatory. I find it quite difficult,
I don't enjoy it either.
and I would
Wait, wait,
really
wait, wait. Why
okay
though? Why do you not like the hydration break?
because Fox is just using it as an opportunity to use commercials. So you know what? In the stadiums where they have air conditioning, I don't think it's necessary. Um, but
But I'm
I
thirsty,
Wait,
Simon.
the ones with
yeah
air conditioning, those guys
yeah.
should be fine. Is that what you're
No,
saying?
basically yes.
Oh,
Basically
okay.
yes.
That sounds
Um,
fair, actually.
and the other thing that I would like to change about this World Cup is Alexi Lalas, if I'm being honest.
Okay, well, first let's take on the hydration break. My daughter and I, we went to the USA and Australia game, and we started calling it the hydrangea break because that's a nice flower, and it's time to stop and smell the flowers and appreciate where you are in this world. You're at a World Cup game, so breathe. That's kind of what we took it as. We sat down for a few minutes, stretched out the back, kind of got back, and then we got back to it. So we kind of appreciated it from the fan perspective. A couple
Yeah.
fans were running out to get their next beers and whatnot, right? And so I think some people appreciate it a little bit more. I know us soccer purists want the game to keep going and keep the ball moving and yeah. But I kind of like it. I know I'm such a jerk capitalist, but
Yeah, you are. You
yeah,
are.
but
You're a
I
jerk.
like it. I like it. I'm
You know
sorry.
what? It's good that we have different opinions on things, and it's nice to see as well you have a lot less cynical view of the world than I do. So
It was interesting. Last week at practice, I asked Pablo Mastroeni, the head coach of Real Salt Lake, what he thought. Was he a soccer purist, and what he thoughts about the changes in particularly the hydration breaks, the commercial breaks. And I was really surprised because he just kind of said, "Hey, I don't worry about it. The universe does what it does." I mean, you got to know Pablo, but he also said he thought it added a little bit with keeping the pace of the game up, and
interesting.
there was some. I just don't like the Americanization of the game, and just the thought of having commercial breaks during a soccer game. Oh, I might have a nightmare. But
Well, that's
Yeah,
why they
that's the
didn't
thing.
call it commercial breaks, right? They didn't call it
Yeah,
that on purpose. They're like,
yeah, I
it's
think
for the players. We're just giving them what they want.
yeah, exactly. And that's the whole thing.
Sure.
It's like.
Sure you are.
There's a thing about English people where they let the smallest things really annoy them, and that is one thing that, like, I get to the point where I think it was a joke from the Fox announcer saying, "Okay, that's kind of like the end of the first quarter," and it just tipped me over the edge, tipped me over the edge, and I was just like, "Right, this can't happen now. This can't happen." And honestly, as I went to a couple of the Chelsea Club World Cup games last year in America, and with the heat that was going on, I was like, fair enough, fair enough. This has to happen. But it's when you're doing that to an international audience that isn't there, it's difficult to translate that being necessary. And if you take advantage of it by showing commercials, I think that people can get a little bit annoyed about it. But those are just two light-hearted things. I don't really care. I think it's been an amazing World Cup, to be honest, and I think the US is doing a fine job of hosting it, really,
Yeah, and I like
with
the
Mexico
hydration
and
break where
Canada.
they do the two screens, right? So they're still showing what the players are doing on the one screen. It's little in screen, right? And then the commercials on the other screen.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that, but don't fully break. And don't show me 3 or 4 David Beckham commercials all in a row. And Home Depot, don't pretend David Beckham does his own yard work. Stop it.
Oh, I think he does. I actually think he does. He's very much into gardening. I watched that documentary. His
I
wife
call
gets
BS
driven
on
around in a Rolls
all
Royce
Home
to school,
Depot.
but
David Beckham does not shop at Home Depot. No way.
so Simon, we can't thank you enough for joining us. Do you have any final words about the World Cup, about soccer in the United States, about your experience before we
Yeah.
let you go?
Well, yeah, thank you again for having me on. It's been a really fun conversation with you guys. I think that for those who are getting into the game, this is a real opportunity to really push it as a big sport in America. Really, I think it's always going to be difficult to compete with football, your guys' football, NFL, basketball, even baseball on some level. But this is the opportunity to do it. And actually, I think what has been really great actually is, and I think this is the thing that soccer does for society that maybe other things don't do, is it unites people. And I got quite moved listening to the national anthem being sung on the first game and in Seattle as well. I was like, this feels like a moment that America needs right now, and it made me feel good, and it made me feel optimistic for the future of this country and also sport in this country. And I feel that people need to lean into soccer more because it's just the greatest sport in the world, and you are, as a country, you're hosting the one thing that everyone wants to host, and now's the time for it to be solidified and for everyone to get behind the team and the sport. And I honestly, obviously, I want England to win it, but for the growth of the game in this country, I want America to get as far as they can in the tournament too.
Thank you. Couldn't agree more. We've appreciated having you on. And where can people find you? What's your podcast again?
Yeah, so the podcast is Chelsea Against the World. We're on YouTube. Well, you can find our podcast on all good podcast platforms, and then Chelsea Against the World TV on YouTube as well. We're growing on there, and I also do a different social media account for soccer in the US audience specifically called The Real Football USA. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube on there as well.
Awesome. Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Very cool. Thanks,
Thanks.
Simon.